I'm just on my way to East Brisbane to pick up our special guest today. He's been the REIQ Auctioneer of the Year 4 times. He's been the Australasian Auctioneer of the Year twice. But something that you might not know about him is that whenever he sits at a cafe or restaurant, he's always got to have his back to the wall. So let's pick him up and find out why.
Hello, mate.
Hello.
Enjoy.
So what does Justin Nickerson drink for coffee?
Extra hot, half strength, soy, piccolo latte.
Extra hot, half strength, piccolo latte.
Soy.
For fuck's
No, it's
sake.
not. It's just a piccolo, mate. But it tastes good.
Oh, mate. Well, it better be good.
It is good. Best coffee in Brisbane.
Oh, that's actually quite good.
Pretty good.
That's actually really good.
I have it about 38 times a week here, so I should know. So very good indeed.
Mate, let's go for a drive.
Sounds good.
So is this your stomping ground here, is it?
Yeah.
East Brisbane?
Yeah.
Is this where you hang out?
It is. It's my local. I actually used to live just around the corner here. So.
Well, I actually used to live just around the corner as well.
Did you?
Yeah, in Cooperoo.
There you go.
So, mate, you're one of the best auctioneers in Australia. Well, Australasia. So what is Australasia? Is that Australia and New Zealand?
Australian is a fancy way of saying Australia. Yeah.
Anzac. You're an
I
Anzac.
don't think any of the other Asian countries know they're in Australasia, but Australia and New Zealand.
Australia
yes.
and New
Anzac,
Zealand.
that's a good one.
Okay, so you're the Anzac Auctioneer of the Year.
Correct.
Can we say that?
Not currently,
You're,
no.
you're like, you've sort of the Kokoda Trail. You've walked the Kokoda Trail of auctioneers and you've won
Twice.
twice.
but who's counting, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
really, not me at all.
Now, mate, speaking of counting, how the hell do you guys do it? I've always wondered, like, people are just yelling out numbers and you're adding them up. Are you an overpaid calculator? Is that sort of
That's a very good
sort of what
description.
you are?
Calculator/megaphone is probably the best description, but I've always been pretty good at maths.
Yep.
I was good at maths as a kid. To clarify that, I'm not good at maths, I'm good at adding up. Anything
Okay.
outside of adding up, I'm not very good at.
Can we road test this?
Sure.
We're going to do a little auction here.
If it's anything like some of the auctions done recently, there won't be any bidding, mate, so it'll end pretty quickly. But what starts the way? What figure gets you all stirred up and excited?
Is that the way you do it? That's putting me to sleep. Come on,
Yeah.
I want some energy, mate. I want some enthusiasm.
It's Friday.
What's in this coffee?
Friday is voice relaxing day.
300,000.
Okay, 300, and off we go now. 3 the start, and a
80.
good start, and off we go, and 380, and thank you, sir, and welcome to the
15.
race at 380 and 395, and here we go now.
12.
Strap yourself in now at 407. At 407, the money to go now. Where do we go next?
11.
If you'd like. At 11 to 418. At 418, we bid it now. Do we say another 11 if you'd like?
That is a party trick I would roll out. I would be rolling that out.
Yeah, it's met with pretty unenthusiastic response, I can tell you, mate, unfortunately.
So, mate, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Why are all auctioneers small? Is being an auctioneer a small man's game? Like, tell me. Small but big voices.
Yeah, there's probably something to that, but
Yeah.
I think it's because we're closer to the ground, so you get a better sense of how things are going. I think 10 or 15 years ago, the auctioneer was seen as this big, dominant, booming voice, controlling proceedings, very sort of strong and intimidating. And I think it's probably shifted now to be more someone who's a conduit to the crowd, half commentator, half umpire kind of role.
So, mate, how do you become an auctioneer? I mean, were you born to be an auctioneer? Were you just in maths class, like yelling out the numbers? I mean, how does someone become an auctioneer?
I was actually drawn to it through a love of negotiation. One of the best things I think about what we do is we effectively negotiate for a living. I hated and actually still really don't like public speaking all that much.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
not a natural public speaker, and it's a great occupation. I love it. I've always loved it, and I think I'll keep loving it till time's up.
Yeah. What's the best auction you've ever had?
We on Tallabudra Creek down the coast, where there was probably about 400 people there, 40 odd bidders on paddle boards because they couldn't get to the properties. They were actually out in the water on paddle boards.
Oh, what?
That was phenomenal. Yeah, that was one of the ones that sort of sticks in my mind.
I thought you would have mentioned an urban property agent's auction, mate.
Can't remember the last one you did, Dan. So maybe if you did them more frequently, it'd come to mind a little bit more.
Oh, mate, gosh, tough crowd. Tough crowd. What's the biggest flop you've ever had? I mean, there must have been some doozies.
I've had one where we had 11 registered bidders and didn't get a bid. That was pretty bad. That's a pretty deflating exercise when you know you've got 11 people who've signed up the bid and then you haven't got the ability to actually get them to put their paddle in the air. That was not.
Is that how you feel, that you don't have the, like, do you know what I mean, if that happened?
you look at isolation and kind of go, is there anything I could have done that could have made a material difference? Could I have hung it out longer? Could I have used better language? Could I have suggested a lower opening bid? You know, there's always, I think, teaching lessons in those things, but I think in situations like that, it's hard not to take it personally.
Yeah. Do people come and heckle you at your auctions?
You know, the classic one is the car full.
Do they yell out sold?
No, they always yell out $1. That's the favourite one. $1, or occasionally sold, but mostly $1 is what they yell out. But the favourite of everyone is the on the market. Are we on the market yet? And you answer it, you know, you give a really well thought out answer like, well, here in Queensland legally we don't have to say it. And then 5 seconds later it's, are we on the market yet? After the next bid, and you think, well, I'm just not going to waste my energy anymore.
So, mate, you'd have to have quite a repertoire of dad jokes.
I do. I really do. What's the rating of your show, mate?
It's R18 plus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I actually saw Scotty and you were dropping F-bombs like they were going out of style, I think. So why is the best place to have sex when you go camping?
I'm not sure.
It's intense.
It's intense.
Intense.
It is intense.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I've never
You've
done
never
it.
had it?
No.
You've never had sex, have you?
No, but I'm dreaming of the day one day. So that's my best one, mate. I haven't really got much more
And
than
you
that.
say that during an auction, do you?
All the time. All the time. It's all about getting a reaction there. Definitely avoid sex, you avoid politics, and you avoid religion. They're the three things you never touch on. Because, someone will have a different opinion to you and it probably won't end well.
What are you seeing with auctions at the moment? Are you seeing an increase? Are you seeing a boost in bidders?
We had a real surge post-election, like immediately post-election we had a real surge in both auction volume numbers but also in bidder numbers, but it's probably quietened off back a bit since then.
Okay.
What we're seeing a lot is kind of everyone wants it or no one wants it.
Right.
We're getting a lot of auctions where there's a lot of interest and then we're having auctions where there's nothing. So I just think that the buyers, although it's quite a favourable, encouraging time to buy at the moment, they're still
nervous.
A little bit nervous, selective in what they want, and there's still this prevailing thought that they don't think that the market's sort of bottomed out yet.
Yeah. Okay.
And they don't want to buy before that happens, obviously.
So across your auction, say this year, we're about halfway through the year. What's your average number of registered bidders?
It'd be just shy of 2, so it's about 1.8.
And the 0.8, they're the little people. They're the
Someone of my
jockeys.
size.
Yeah, someone of your size.
Yeah.
How do you feel about one bidder auctions?
I think they're great. I actually think one bidder auctions are easier than two bidder auctions because it actually allows you to create a better connection with that buyer. So I'd take you aside, being the bidder, just before the auction starts and say, Dan, we've got some great news for you. You're the only registered bidder for the auction.
Yes.
That is a great thing for you. We do have other parties that are interested, potentially post-auction, but certainly for the next 10 or 15 minutes, it's just going to be you. So what I'll encourage you to do, Dan, is if you can start us off with an opening bid, any figure you like.
$1.
Yep, happy to do it at $1. What we can do is we can pause the auction and legally then we can go into negotiation with you and you get that first and exclusive right to have a chat to our seller. Because there's two things that get buyers to increase. Number one is competition and number two is a direct line to the seller.
Yeah.
And that's what they've got.
How long have you been an auctioneer for?
Mate, I've been a full-time auctioneer now for almost 10 years.
Wow.
So almost a decade.
Wow.
So I had a better hairline back then.
No,
and,
tell me about it.
Yeah.
What's with real estate and these hairlines?
Stress, mate.
Stress, is
That's
that
what I think.
what it is?
Yeah. You're stressed because you're dealing with the general public, and I'm stressed because I'm going to deal with people like you. So
If you could go back and give yourself any advice on day one, what would it be?
just keep going. It's not easy, but it's worth it in the end.
You felt like giving up at the start at times?
Oh, not even just at the start.
Now.
There's today.
Today.
There's hurdles with everything, but the end of it is definitely worth it. It's just sometimes about keeping on going.
Yeah.
And I think the great thing about our industry is it really doesn't discriminate. You know, it doesn't matter if you're male or female. It doesn't matter if you're tall or short. It doesn't matter if you're...
Why are you saying that?
Because you put it in my brain. I think if you lined up the 20 best agents in the world, or in Australia, or in Queensland, or in Brisbane, you'd actually find that they have very little similarities with each other, personality-wise, but they probably all have a work ethic that's similar.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
what defines them.
Yep. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure. Thank you, mate.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy.
Cheers.
Cheers.